However, I want to touch on it here because a lot of people have kind of a misconception due in part possibly to the name QuickBooks and possibly to marketing, which tends to market the idea that all you need to do is set up your QuickBooks system, sign up to the bank, importing all of your financial information from the bank, and then automatically that will just magically, using AI and whatnot, create your financial statements, which you can then provide your QuickBooks file to your CPA firm or tax preparer at the end of the year, and they can just use that and possibly integrate it into the tax software, and then it just creates your taxes at the end of the year and so on and so forth, and it's as easy as that. Now, that's magical marketing world. We are getting better. Bank feeds are great. They're a huge tool, a huge benefit, but it's not completely seamless and automated as might be kind of indicated possibly by some advertising, not just for QuickBooks, but any kind of like accounting system is going to have this tendency to want to say things are going to be easier than they might actually be. Now, how easy and how useful are bank feeds going to be to just automate your entire accounting system will be dependent upon the type of industry you're in and possibly the size of the business that you are in. So the way we really have to approach the bank feeds then is going to be, what kind of accounting system do we have? How does that accounting system typically work? And then how can we integrate the bank feeds into that accounting system? That's going to be how, in essence, the course is going to be laid out, in that we're going to think about the entire accounting system without the use of bank feeds first, because that's a full service accounting system that we're going to be utilizing that way. And as we do that, we'll talk about and touch in on the idea of when could the bank feeds automate this process and when would the bank feeds have a problem automating this process. So in other words, if I hit the plus button, we're going to look at each cycle: customer cycle, vendor cycle, payroll cycle, think about the forms in each of those processes and whether or not the bank would be able to automate that form, or whether we would have to enter the transaction in on our side as a normal accounting process, and then how would the bank feeds connect to it. And then after we do that, we'll have a whole section on, or course on, the bank feeds themselves and how do we actually set up basically the bank feeds. Now, if you really want to dive into the bank feeds and you think you have an idea of what's going on here, you could go directly to that section or course and just go right into setting up the bank feeds. But I highly recommend, if you don't have any idea of how the accounting system works, to at least get a general idea of how the forms work, because even when you set up the bank feeds, they're going to utilize the form. So to get an idea of this, note that the most simple type of bank feed process you're going to have is if you're on a cash-based system, possibly if you have like gig work, you're a YouTuber or something like that. YouTube pays you, you pay everything else using electronic transfers like your utility bill and so on and so forth. Everything is basically automated. So that'll be the easiest process. But even then, when you connect to the bank, it's going to pull in data into this section, which is what I call bank feed limbo. The reason I call it bank feed limbo is because this information is pulled in from the bank, but it hasn't actually been included in the accounting system. It's not being used to create the balance sheet and the income statement. It's in what I call bank feed limbo. Why isn't it being pulled into the financial statement? Well, it's missing at least one key factor. And that one key factor is going to be the account. Now, there could be other factors like customers and vendors that you want to add as well. But at the very least, the system needs to know what account that you're going to post it to. So that means that even in the most simplified system, you're going to at least have to, in the first few months, go through all of the data that you pull in and then assign it to possibly an expense or revenue account. Once you're done with that, then it'll be somewhat automated at that point if you have a very simple kind of accounting type of system. So that'll be the idea. If your system is more complex, meaning you have any kind of accrual component within it, then it's going to be more complex. We're going to have more of a problem in the accounting system, and we're going to have to talk about how the bank feeds can be used to work around that process, still utilizing them, but not being able to create our entire accounting system possibly from the information from the bank feeds.